Welcome back to Papa's Home. This is especially weird because I'm now using a microphone and I feel like an idiot standing in the front yard doing a video about his fruit trees. Since I have all new equipment, I figured it's going to be really easy to do a test video if it's a very simple project. And really, it's not even a project, I'm just telling you about my fruit trees. The one we're looking at right here is an avocado tree. It was planted about a year ago by a company that I use called Harvest to Home. They've helped me with a lot of my gardening projects and helped me get started, but once everything's all set up, that's when I take over. And I did buy it a little bit more mature. I think when you typically buy it in a 15-gallon bucket, the tree will probably be about 2 to 3 years old. So I'd guess that this tree is now 4 years old. Some of these leaves are red, and some of these other ones are green. Believe it or not, the red ones are actually brand new. So this tree actually grew so quickly, you can actually see that almost this entire branch right here is all red leaves, which just tells me that this tree has the capability of growing really fast. Originally when I had this tree, all these leaves right here, you see how they kind of droop downward, were all pretty much like stacked on top of each other. They didn't really have a lot of like room to breathe or to get sunlight. If they're creating a shadow on top of each other, they're not really doing what they're supposed to be doing. So it's great to see branches like this kind of come out away kind of from the rest of the tree. I think that's something that you really want to encourage. So it's really awesome to see that. And it just blows my mind that this grew probably this year. You can also see this one. It's like it's flexing its bicep. It actually kind of does look like a person a little bit, but if you get closer, you can see all these beautiful red leaves that are starting to show up and everything. I've yet to see this flower. I have not got any avocados from it yet. I have been a bit rough with the pruning lately. Like I said earlier, I ripped out a whole lot of branches earlier where these were stacked on top of each other. You can kind of see where I've cut it before. You can kind of see down here at the bottom, we had a couple branches that started to grow out. They looked like they were going to curl upward, but due to their weight, they were sagging and laying on the ground, so that's generally not good for the leaves, I think. So this is another great example. This is my lime tree, and you can totally see the difference where some of these leaves down here are much darker. You can see they're really especially light kind of down on the bottom versus like some of these ones are much darker. So kind of look at the one that I'm touching with my finger here versus some of the bottom side of the leaves on the very far left. What's great is that means that this tree grew this much. Normally in the wintertime, the trees are dormant. They're almost think of them as like sleeping. Around February, I'll pull the mulch back. I'll put fertilizer down. Between February and June, that's how quickly this tree grew. It's just incredible. You can also see this one almost up from the very top. The lighting is actually not very great, but if you look at the stems themselves, that's another sign. So see how the color in this one, you can actually see it kind of has more of that natural wood color and the green is fading away. Versus this guy, the stem is almost completely green. So this is almost like what, 2 or 3 feet worth of plant that's grown just in a couple of months, 3 months. Now we're kind of entering the next stage. So now that the growth phase is completed, as a result, we're now getting to the point where we're getting a whole bunch of limes. So everywhere that there was a flower that got pollinated, eventually becomes a lime. So I've got like a whole bunch of them that are kind of growing all over the tree. You can kind of see they're of different sizes. Areas of concern, this little cluster right here. I think that eventually as these get bigger, this guy might fall off, and same with another one. So really I only think one is going to do well. So my lemon tree, I'm especially worried because on most of this plant, you don't really see a whole lot of flowers, but if you look down here, there's a whole bunch of flowers like all clustered around. So each one of those is supposedly going to become a lemon. but if you have 15 of them all growing right next to each other, I'm really worried that the plant is going to put all of its energy into this part of the plant, and that half of those lemons are just going to fall off completely. So I'm still debating whether I want to just like snip that off now, or just see how this season turns out. In general, I do like the shape of the way that this lemon tree is growing. I really kind of want this grail shape growing out from the tree. That way it's all really easy to access the fruit. You don't want to be, reaching into the tree into really difficult areas, when this gets larger. So those are just like some things that I'm thinking about. You can actually see some of these lemons are growing in pretty nice, but there's not really a whole lot of them. So we'll see how we do this here. If anything, I'm seeing lots of healthy growth, and I might be able to make some additional changes, and maybe I'll get a lot more fruit next year.